राजन, पाकिस्तान ने अगर अपने देरीना चैलेंजेस से मुकाबला करना है तो हमें अपने खारजा और दिफाई अमूर के अंदर कहीं ना कहीं वसअत लानी होगी, तनव्वो लाना होगा। रशिया के साथ ताल्लुकात पाकिस्तान की खारजा पॉलिसी का अहम हिस्सा रहे हैं, लेकिन उतार चढ़ाव का शिकार रहे हैं। उतार कम है, चढ़ाव ज़्यादा। आजकल ज़रा गुड्डी चढ़ी हुई है, तो हमने कहा कि ज़रा बात कर लेते हैं, मॉस्को और इस्लामाबाद दोनों को इकट्ठा करते हैं। डॉक्टर रोक्सोलाना ज़िगोन, who's geopolitical analyst, expert in the international relations and diplomacy, मॉस्को से हमें ज्वाइन करें। थैंक यू वेरी मच डॉक्टर ज़िगोन फॉर बीइंग विद अस। We are also fortunate to have Dr. Neelam Nigar with us, Director Center for Strategic Perspectives, Institute of Strategic Studies, Islamabad. Ladies, thank you very much for joining the show. Dr. Zygon, quickly starting with you, are we at the beginning of a new era in Pakistan-Russian ties, or is it a little, upscaling of what has been going on for quite some time?
Thank you for your fantastic question. I would rather say that you have missed the very beginning of the transformation between Moscow and Islamabad. It started 1 year ago when there have been held a whole set of initiatives and mutual projects. So that dialogue between Moscow and Islamabad has been already reaching a certain dynamism. So a couple of conferences, Russia, Pakistan, Eurasian Forum has taken place last December in Moscow, and also in Kazan, the second Russia-Pakistan forum, a conference. International conference has taken place recently, and also in February, in order to advance, to prepare a visit of the Prime Minister of Pakistan to the Russian Federation on the 2nd of March, the meeting which unfortunately didn't take place, but we do hope that it will take place in the nearest future. It was a media forum, Moscow-Islamabad. That's why, while answering your question, I would say that we have reached the rising point of that kind of dynamic wave. Therefore, I think that the dialogue between Russia and Pakistan is gradually reaching activities and proactive position, and is actually very positive. Therefore, we should expect a serious expansion of these activities.
Expansion of this activity, Dr. Neelam, all these things, engagement, media dialogue, there's one that is taking place tomorrow as well. Towards the end of this segment, we'll talk about that as well. This sounds great, and it's a rising point, as Dr. Zygon says. But really, Russia has ties with India, and they have deep ties. They're selling equipment to India, no problems as far as Pakistan is concerned. Except that Indian take on Pakistan is very clear. Russia is engaged with the Taliban regime, and there's an agreement with them as well. And you know exactly where Pakistan stands vis-a-vis the Taliban. So, how do you square the rising point with the realities which are somewhat challenging from the point of view of deepening ties with the Russian Federation?
Thank you, Talat, for having me on the program. Right, as mentioned by Dr. Zygon, so to begin with, Russia-Pakistan relations should be understood in the context of a shifting global order that we are witnessing today. So in this broader transformation of global order, which is moving toward, as we say, more multipolar and fragmented structure, in such environment, I think it is very much realistic to assume that we have moved from a rigid bloc politics. They are giving way for a more flexible, interest-based engagements among states. So as mentioned, what we are seeing today between Pakistan and Russia is a gradual but steady shift from limited historical interactions to a more pragmatic and strategically relevant relationship. So in this situation, it is, as we say, that given the realities that we are focusing today, it is not about what we are replacing our existing relationships or aligning against one or the other country, Pakistan and for Russia, for both, it's about diversification of options. In a world where economic volatility, sanctions, and shifting supply chains are reducing how states manage their foreign relations. So in that sense, I think Pakistan-Russia relationship is evolving as part of a broader adjustments to global realities, where I think both countries are exploring areas of convergence based on practical interests, regional stability, and long-term strategic autonomy. So I think it's important for both the countries to be realistic in terms of the global realignments that is opening fronts for both the countries in the geopolitical scenario.
Okay, let me hear from Moscow on this, from Dr. Zegon. Dr. Zegon, tell us about the strategic drivers of this new rising point. We understand engagement, we understand interface, we understand the importance of visits as well. But what are the strategic binding forces or drivers, if not binding forces, that we need to focus on?
It was a truly important word that my colleague has used previously. She has mentioned one of the important elements of a strategic alignment between Moscow and Islamabad is pragmatism, so pragmatic approach. However, pragmatism has a dual sense. Pragmatism means not using the powers and interests of each other. But philosophically speaking, which is really important to take into consideration, means to have a critical assessment of the reality. And not every superpower today, and we know a lot of examples, has that privilege to use critical approach in their diplomacy and in their military strategy that we have seen during the conflict between United States, Israel, and Iran. Therefore, I think Russia and Pakistan has taken a proper direction within its strategic scope of assessing the broadness, the profoundness, the perspectiveness of those strategic values and directions. It means the first point is pragmatism, certainly. The second point is identification of all those elements that can elevate, that can help to rise each other, not only on the national level or securing the interest on the regional level, but as well on a broader long-term scale. Of course, I mean big Eurasian space. And what we have been witnessing recently since April 2026, an unprecedented diplomatic leverage of Pakistan, the initiative of Pakistan as a peace moderator, I mean Islamabad peace talks, and I was among those experts who has envisioned that incredible success and incredible initiative from the side of Pakistan, and has been actively promoting, even in a preliminary mode, I was promoting that idea and that potential of Pakistan in Moscow, and I think it had a really great importance. This is the second element. And the third element is then within the multipolar world that has been really correctly mentioned, at the cusp of transformation zone, let's say, and the Russian president has highlighted that very clearly during the St. Petersburg Economic International Forum on the 4th of June, that Pakistan is an independent sovereign power. And it's absolutely not under oppression or influence of China. And I truly believe that Pakistan is destined to grow because it has a tremendous potential. First of all, it's a very young population. It's very rapidly economically.
Okay, Dr. Zegon, let me process some of the things that you have said, because we're kind of short on time here, but this is a wonderful narrative as to the 3 points that you have mentioned. But let me take this point to Dr. Neelam. Dr. Neelam, you spoke about pragmatism, and so did Dr. Zegon. Look, pragmatically speaking, Russian ties with India are far deeper than Pakistan's ties with Russia. And I was looking at the May 29th news about the Taliban agreement with Russia, and the Taliban defense minister said that we are going to be using some of this help to make sure that we can counter Pakistan. What I'm trying to ask you here is that how does the Indian factor and the Taliban factor fit into the new Pakistan-Russia construct? Go ahead.
Thank you. I think it's important development that we have seen over the weekend that what strategic engagements the Russian Federation had with the Indian government and the Taliban government. I think that is something which is there as we are moving in a very fluid political and geopolitical system. So these are the things that will be there. But what is important for us to focus at the moment is what, as you mentioned in your earlier questions, that what are the strategic drivers for both the countries to focus on at the moment so that we can move beyond the historical perceptions, whether bilaterally, Russia and Pakistan, or within the historical.
Can you just name one, because time is up? Can you just name your topmost driver? Name one.
The topmost strategic drivers for both the countries at the moment, I would focus more on connectivity and logistics, which both are very
I have to leave it there. I have to leave it there. I have to leave it there. The rest of it in tomorrow's engagement. Thank you very much, Dr. Zegon and Dr. Negar.